Right, okay. So is it all on now, Bill?
It is. We're ready to go, Chair, and the recording is running.
Okay. Right. So let me say good evening to you all. I'm going to be saying that I hope everything will go smoothly today. So far it hasn't. It's been quite a mess. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that those problems are behind us. So we will try and deal with it as much as we can and hope and just keep our fingers crossed. Right, it's now 2:10. So I'd like to welcome you all to this virtual meeting of Hounslow Licensing Panel. I'd like to welcome the members of the panel who are sitting here today, as well as council officers who will be assisting members throughout the meeting. In addition, I would like to welcome members of the public who are watching this meeting at home. The way this meeting will work will be that as chair, I will be running the meeting and inviting people to speak. As it is very easy for people to speak over each other in meetings like this, I will ask each member or officer to speak in turn at the appropriate stage. This will mean that there should normally be no need for people to interrupt or to ask to speak. However, I shall make sure that members have ample opportunity to ask questions, make comments on the reports and applications before them. The exception to this arrangement will be the legal committee or licensing officers who may turn on their microphone to alert me to any legal, government or licensing issues that need addressing, although I'll expect this to be a rare occurrence. The etiquette for members of the panel and for officers who are expecting to speak will be to mute their microphones until you're asked to speak. This means that only one person will be speaking at a time and there'll be no background noise, making it easier for us to follow the meeting, also for those watching at home. I will also ask members always to say who they are when making a contribution and to speak slowly and clearly for the same reason. We have 3 members of the licensing committee with us today to form this licensing panel, and it is we that will be making the decisions. Officers of the council will provide assistance and advice where required, but the final decision will be made by members. I would now like to introduce each of the members here tonight one by one. I will start. My name is Councillor Richard Foote. I'm a member elected for Hamworth Ward and I'm chair of the licensing committee. I now ask Medea, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Councillor Medea Hasim and I'm a councillor for the Hounslow Heath Ward. Thank you.
And can I ask Surinder if you'd introduce yourself? You're mute. On mute, Surinder. That should do it.
Councillor Sundar, I represent Heston Central Ward and I'm a member of the licensing panel.
Right, thanks, Surinder. Now I invite each officer expected to speak at the meeting to address you in their turn. I'll come first to Rita.
Good afternoon. My name is Rita Pankania. I'm the Licensing Authority Officer presenting the case this afternoon.
Then I've got Kenitz.
Good afternoon. My name is Kenitz Ali. I'm the legal advisor advising the panel this afternoon.
Then I've got Thomas Blackford, Regulatory Officer. Can I ask you to introduce yourself, Thomas?
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thomas Blackford, I'm Regulatory Officer in the Community Enforcement and Regulatory Services team.
And finally, Charlie Hennessy.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Charlie Hennessy. I'm the Licensing Enforcement Officer.
Right, thank you all. We've also got officers acting in a producing role on the technical side of the meeting, but as they're not expected to be actually involved in the discussions, I will thank them for their help but not ask them to introduce themselves. Right, can I just double check you've all muted your microphones now? No, somebody hasn't. Surinder, you're... No. Right, that looks good. I'm afraid I'm, as you will probably be hearing at the moment, I'm on the flight path this afternoon, so we get frequent aircraft flying over. I think it's every 3rd aircraft will be coming over my roof and giving us a wave. So I'm afraid it's just something we learn to live with. Right. Members of the public are reminded that the agenda and all the reports being considered by the panel today can be found on the council website under the licensing panel meetings page. So if you want to see them, that's where to look. I also want to make sure that all members have seen the agenda and reports, which I have in fact already checked with them, so I know they have. I would like to remind members of the need to hear all of the evidence in each report we are considering tonight. This is a legal requirement. If you should find you're having technical problems and need to log out the meeting and come back in again, please let me know immediately, ideally beforehand, but if not, as soon as you can afterwards by turning on your microphone. This will be a permitted interruption. We can then decide how far we need to recap. Finally, I would say to any member of the public listening or watching, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We hope this meeting will go well, but any virtual meetings may suffer from unexpected technical hitches, so please bear with us. I would also clarify that this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel in the next few days. Contributors to the meeting are asking to remember that they will therefore be included in the recording of this public meeting. Thank you. We'll now move on to the first item of the agenda once I've let this aeroplane pass by. All right, now I think it's a bit further west. No, not too bad, that one. Right, this afternoon's application is an application for the grant of a premises licence in respect of choice of taste, 769 London Road, Hounslow. Where we need to time contributions, I will ask the legal officer to alert me when allocated timings have been reached. I will also ask her to alert me prior to the guillotine being reached if we've not concluded the meeting by that time. May I remind all members, officers and public speakers at this meeting to introduce themselves each time they speak and also to turn off their microphones when they finish speaking. It's also important to speak slowly and clearly so everyone can understand what you are saying. Finally, if you're making reference to any agenda documentation, please give the page and paragraph details. It may be necessary. I see that we've got a number of public speakers, other people making requests to speak. I don't know whether you've been able to identify a single spokesperson for that group, or if if each person is going to speak individually. Can anybody from the guests, so do we know anything on that, Rita?
I think from the Selborne Avenue, we are a group of townhouses, and I think if Sadashivam is representing, I think that would be great. If Sadashivam takes the lead, I'll be happy for him to take the lead.
Yeah, well, the way I'll take it is that I will, if she, is it a she? I'm sorry.
It's he.
Sadashivam. Right. Yeah. I will allow him to make the lead, but if there needs to be any amplification by a member, then we'll allow them to come in, but not come in and repeat everything that's already been said.
Absolutely, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I say, so the process for an application of speakers is as follows. The officer, stage one, the officer will introduce and confirm the facts. Officers to give their presentation of the application. The application then asked if they agree with the circumstances described in the officer's report. Stage two is police, licensing authority and other bodies. We do have representatives from other bodies this afternoon. Once we've agreed the facts, we invite representatives from the licensing authority and other responsible authority to speak about their submission for or against the applications they have made. I should add that any officer representing the licensing authority at this stage will not be the one supporting this panel this evening, as these functions are kept entirely separate to ensure fairness. There will be a chance for anyone to ask questions of the relevant officers who have just spoken. The applicant's case, I will then invite the applicant, if they're present, to speak for 5 minutes in total and answer any questions from all of the parties. There will be questions there will be questions of the applicants. Other persons, next we ask the other persons to explain their submission, and everyone will be given a chance to ask questions of them. They will have 5 minutes in total to overall, in line with what I've just said about if there's a need to amplify with certain smaller items, then I will allow that to happen. I will then invite all parties to sum up their position, with the applicants being entitled to the last word, with their summing up being the last to take place. The panel will then leave the meeting to discuss the case and reach its decision. It will be joined by no one else except the legal officer, who's there to give advice to the law, but will not be party to the decision. Once that we've done that, we will return to the meeting to read out the decision of the application, and that will conclude the consideration of the item. We will now therefore begin the formal hearing of this case, and I will start by inviting the licensing officer to introduce the report. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor.
Rita, yeah.
Thank you. Members are requested to determine an application for the grant of a premises licence in respect of Choice of Taste, 769 London Road, Hounslow, TW3 1RS. The application has been submitted by Miss Blandina Alexis. The application is for the supply of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises, Sunday to Thursday, 11 AM to 1 AM. Friday and Saturday, 11 AM to 2 AM. The application also requests the sale of late night refreshment, which is Sunday to Thursday, 2300 hours to 1 AM. Friday, Saturday, 2300 hours to 2 AM. And live music, recorded music, 2300 hours to 1 AM, Sunday to Thursday, Friday to Saturday, 2300 hours to 2 AM. The application followed all the correct procedures correctly. The application is on page 11 to page 25. Representations have been attracted from residents in the locality. Those representations are on page 26 onwards. The police did not make a representation. Their representation agreeing conditions and hours is on page 35. A representation from the pollution enforcement team has been submitted, which is on page 39 to 40. A representation again has been submitted from the licensing officer enforcement. That is appendix E, page 41 of the pack. That's it from me, unless you've got any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rita. Right, can I just ask the applicant, do you agree with the circumstances as described by the officer? If so, just clarify it this time.
Yes, Sir Chair, we agree to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, nothing from... Right, we now move to the, let's see. The licensing authority and other body cases. No one from the police. Is that correct, Rita? So
that's right, Councillor. No one from the police, no.
So initially, it's the licensing authority to make their comments known. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So have we got the representative from the licensing authority? Who is that? That's
so that would be myself, Chair, Charlie Hennessy. I'm, as I say, the licensing enforcement officer for the London Borough of Hounslow. My representation, as submitted in the agenda, as Rita pointed out, was Appendix E, page 41. What I'll do is I'll just reiterate the points raised in my representation. So, on behalf of the Licensing Authority, as a responsible authority and under the Licensing Act 2003, I write to object to the application for a new premises licence which seeks to authorise licence for activities of the sale by retail of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises, late night refreshments and live and recorded music. The basis of this objection is made on the following licensing objectives: the prevention of crime and disorder, the prevention of public nuisance and public safety. The application submitted seeks the following licence for activities and times, which is repeating what Rita has said. Supply by retail of alcohol, Sunday to Thursday, 11 a.m. Till 0100. Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. till 0200, as stated, on and off the premises. Live music and recorded music, indoors only, Sunday to Thursday, 2300 to 0100. Friday and Saturday, 2300 to 0200. And the hours the premises are open to the public, Monday to Thursday, 0600 to 0100. Friday to Sunday, 0600 to 0200. The licensing authority has concerns with this application, in particular the proposed hours of operation. As this premises falls within the London Borough of Hounslow's accumulative impact zone within the statement of licensing policy, we, the licensing authority, seek for the reduction of hours to mirror the core hours stated within the current statement of licensing policy. The licensing authority reserves to submit further support evidence in connection with this representation and to assist in oral evidence that may be given at the licensing subcommittee. What I will also do is just point you to the hours which are stated within the London Borough of Hounslow statement of licensing policy. If you have your policy to hand, it is page 16. So the core hours for licensable activity is Monday to Thursday, 0900 to 2300. Friday and Saturday, 0900 to midnight, and Sunday 10 a.m. till 22:30. And yeah, that is it from me, Chair.
Right, can I just double check with my colleagues? Have you got a copy of the it's this document, which is the council's licensing policy? Do you have a copy of that? You should have, but it's probably, like mine, buried in amongst all the other papers that you've had over time. But the core hours is as Charlie has read out to you. If you want those repeated at any particular point in time, you may ask, okay? If you haven't got access to the actual document itself. I would recommend that that normally you should have this to hand, because it's got a lot of things in there that you can be called upon to deal with. Right, let's move on. So now I'm going to questions from councillors to Charlie Hennessy. So, Medea, do you have any questions of Charlie?
Thank you, Chair. For the time being, no. I think
No.
he's clarified that. Thank you.
Okay, Surinder, do you have any questions? You need to unmute your microphone.
Sorry, no question at the moment.
Okay. I've only got one question, Charlie. Thomas Blackford, we've got a documentation from him as part of the responsible authorities, but he's not present, I presume.
Thomas Blackford is present. He did introduce himself, Chair. So I think if Tom, if he's out of position, he can read out his representation.
Okay, that's what I was concerned about. Yeah. So, yeah. I'll see if there's any other dealings with yourself at the moment, Charlie, but I'll check that. But I haven't got any questions of you at the moment. Core hours we've got. Okay. Does the applicant have a copy of the council's London Borough of Hounslow's licensing policy?
Chair, yes, we looked at that. Thank you, Chair.
You have got that. Okay, that's fine.
Can I also, is it possible, Chair, can I ask you a question to the
I'll get you to you in a minute. At the moment, I'm doing that myself. So I've got, right, I think all my questions asked at the moment. So yeah, okay, now I'm going to go to the applicant. Yeah, if you wish to ask a question of the licensing officer.
Yeah, Chair. I think the applicant had done some research before, invested highly on this premises. One of the thing is in that same parade. So if you're reaching, there's a left and a right. On the right, there's a within 100 meters, there are about 6, premises like restaurants, and a number of them have licensed, until midnight. Lahore restaurant, for example, midnight, and there's another one until midnight. And the further down, they have beyond midnight. Just wanted to check with Charlie, has he got those figures like nearby restaurants, the licensing hours, and how many of them?
Yeah, these figures and hours are not some that I would currently have to hand. The restaurants that you're on about in that parade are restaurants we are aware about, and the hours. We, as a licensing authority, have to judge each application on its own merits. We can't, unfortunately, base your application on surrounding premises. I have to stick to what the policy's guidance is and had to put a representation in to reduce or to ask for the mirror of those hours. So yes, to answer your question, I am more than aware of the parader shops, Nando's and the likes, the corner shop. As I said, I have to base your application on its own merits, not with what is regards to the surrounding area.
Can I just underline there? I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I see you as ARCA licensing, so I don't know your name yet. But I must underline that we cannot bring in a change in licensing retrospectively without cause for doing so, i.e., that we've got residential complaints going on about individuals that would mean that we've got licensing links in there about individual ones, but we cannot retrospectively change those hours just for the sake of it. We're not allowed to do that.
No, we got that, Chair. I totally get that. But the reason I asked that question is important. We are looking at a cumulative impact policy, and I really wanted to address, this particular premises in terms of the cumulative impact policy. But thank you. I think I got that, Chair. I think that's enough for me for now.
Okay, right. Okay, Charlie. So is now I've got any questions of Charlie from the residents? Any? No, I'm assuming by your silence that there aren't any. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move to Thomas. Thomas, do you want to make your points of view, make your application or points?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, as I said, my name is Thomas Blackford. I'm from the Community Enforcement and Regulatory Services team. My representation for this application was on the grounds of preventing public nuisance. And whilst we had not had any previous complaints about the previous premises, given the close proximity to residential properties, using our mapping system, we found 30 residential properties within 50 metres. And the proposed hours of opening and live music, we feel the application, should it be granted, the noise from customers coming and going from the venue, and also music emanating from the venue, and external noise from vehicles, potentially taxis picking up customers and such, at such late hours would disturb nearby residential properties. And I also noted that the only condition voluntarily offered by the applicant to negate this was that notices should be prominently displayed at all exits, requesting patrons to respect the needs of local residents and businesses and to leave the area quietly. And we deemed that this would not be adequate enough to prevent noise nuisance to residents. And further to that, we would request that a noise management plan be submitted in regards to this premises, and potentially the installation of a sound limiter looked at to ensure minimal disturbance to residents. And we would also request that the hours of operation and live and or recorded music be substantially reduced to ensure minimal disturbance to the residents.
Right, thank you, Thomas. Madea, do you have any questions of Thomas?
Not at the moment, Chair, thank you.
Okay, right. Surinder?
No, I don't have any questions.
No, okay. I had something, I think. Yeah, no, I can't find it. No, I've lost it. If it comes back to me, it can't have been that important. I've lost it. So, okay. So, I've any questions of from the officer representing the applicant? Is that?
Chair, yes. Yeah, thank you, Chair Thomas. I have actually one question. I think in your statement you said that there's only one condition we've been put forward. I'm not sure whether you had the opportunity to read Appendix C. There are a number of conditions. We agreed with the police, and there are at least three conditions or 4 conditions relating to addressing the public nuisance. I think you mentioned is I don't know whether you had the opportunity to look at that.
Appendix C, I'm not sure.
On whose
that
report
I've-
is that?
Because it's very important. Your statement is saying not adequate enough. I think we don't, I can't really agree with that. So
Yeah, no, I do understand what you're saying. Everything that I've seen in Appendix C, I'm just having a quick read through of it now, seems to relate to the challenge 25 in regards of the alcohol service, the CCTV system,
and
incident
yeah,
logbook.
yeah. Then the
Clear and
staff.
legible notices.
Yeah, that's the one. One of them is that. And if you read the second one.
Yeah, persons wishing to leave premises to smoke should not be permitted to take.
Two of them there. Yeah.
And customers will not be permitted to remove from the premises any alcoholic drinks supplied.
One. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, even reading that, I don't feel that is still sufficient to prevent public nuisance, because there's no information as to how this would be achieved in the way of staff on site, SIA trained staff, the exclusion of customers leaving after a certain period of time, for example, not being permitted to leave the premises after a certain hour in order to minimize that impact to the residents. So I still, given those 3 conditions that are in Appendix C, I still don't feel that is sufficient to prevent public nuisance, given the hours that are requested.
Well, I mean, those things, thank you for mentioning those, but I will address those in my presentations. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, right. Any of the objectors, do they have any questions of Mr. Blackford? No?
Shall I ask a question?
Yeah.
I just live behind this property. So we moved in 22 Selborne Avenue, just behind this choice of taste in January. And initially, I think we had problems only with the planes, but we are now planes going overhead. We fall directly in the path of the landing strip for the Heathrow. But that is tolerable because you get used to it. But we had lots of problems with illegal trespassers coming to the assembly. Then we have lots of drug addiction going on and drug addicts in the alleyway and lots of drunkards. So we had lots of problems with the police, and it's now come to a level where things are not as bad as when we moved in. And to come at home on the weekends after long work, you need rest. And any music playing or anything going on will be very, very difficult for us to, just because we are just behind this property. Whatever happened in the past and all the licensing given to other restaurants happened before we moved in. So we can't do anything about it, but we are used to whatever the level of noise and other things are going on. But now I think once we are a row of 11 townhouses in that, we will all be getting disturbed by this, and we don't want this long hours at 2 a.m. in the night.
Sorry to interrupt. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's Kaniz. If you could please ask Dr. Afak to focus his point in relation to any question he may have for the for Mr. Blackford. What you're saying now is really it should come later on, not at this stage. If you have any questions, you can put the question.
The question is just that the midnight hours are too long for us, according to the current situation. And in the past, maybe it may have been granted, but now because we are just moved in this year, then things change.
Yes, that's a statement, and I think this is what the legal advisor is saying to you: is you must leave that until the point where you reach that. Can I just now we have some problems here because we don't have the police officer in attendance. I don't know whether Thomas or Charlie can help on this, but I know, and I'm going backwards on this. I'm going back into that point where we had those reports. But the second paragraph in the proposed conditions, police report says, premises shall install and maintain a comprehensive CCTV system which records 24 hours a day, all entry and exit points to be covered. Have we got, is any of this going to be external? Do we know from, does the...
Well, the condition...
Sorry, somebody's frozen. I think you're frozen, Charlie.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, unfortunately, the condition, as stated, has not mentioned the fact for the requirement to be external. I think the officer in charge, it was Mark Johnson who dealt with this. He was happy with it of all entry and exit points within the premises. I think it will be down to the applicant or the license holder as such for security purposes if he felt the need to have external CCTV. The condition we asked for, and a mandatory condition, is for the internal for entry and exit points.
Yeah, okay. So we can just about make those out, I think, on the drawing. So on there they are, some by the entrance doors and a couple inside. I see. Okay, right. Yeah. So there's nothing, is there nothing else in there other than the police report that we just have to make assumptions. Right, where do we get to? We've got the officer asking questions. Did you ask the applicant, sorry, asking questions? Did I get to Thomas? Did you ask any questions of Thomas?
Yes, I did, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
That's all from me. Thank you.
Distracted a bit there. Right, so let's move on now. Yeah, we've had the objectors. Is there any questions that the councillors want to go back on and ask at all at this point? No. Okay. So we're now moving on to... Right, I'm going to move on now to the objector's case. Sorry, I've taken the have I taken the applicant's case? Yeah. No, I haven't, have I? Yes, I have. I must have done.
It's Kenise again. So you now need to ask the applicant to present their case.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought I hadn't, but it got all a bit muddled in the middle there. Right. So can I ask the applicant now if you wish to make your case?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, I think I must say about this applicant first. You know, the applicant and it's a family business, and her husband is a chef, and she's going to be, the applicant is managing the premises, and they've been in the you know, like we mentioned it in the application, they've been in the trade of catering, operating from another premises for 6 years. Right now, you know, they left that premises. I mean, they were jointly working with another people, and they left, and they came into this premises, and they also live, you know, locally, and they know this Hounslow very well. And now, Chair, I think, you know, they have invested, you know, lots of money. I mean, we are not talking about it's important. We need to get the balance. So right now they invested around 150,000. Chair, you know, we must know part of, you know, this this particular premises has been closed nearly over a year because the previous person running, they couldn't continue financially, for all sort of reasons, and it's been handed over to other people as well, because it's in a highly competitive place, Chair. But it's, I think they also wanted to, because that place, that parade, there are a number of restaurants, it's perfect, people coming to eat and socialize, and families coming, and this particular person's background is Sri Lankans. So that's why, they are looking forward to get some more Sri Lankan restaurants. Chair, I think before they come in, also they looked at the area, they looked at the other premises, what time they open. There are a number of premises, they open until midnight. Some of them open even beyond midnights. Chair, and then now, the police themselves, they visited the premises. Actually, they had a long chat with the applicant, and the partner there at the premises, and they looked at the area, and they looked at, the improvement, the money they're investing, and the improvement they're going to make to particular premises. Chair, I think since we have these objections, I think it seems to me, Chair, I can understand the residences, don't seems to really get understanding of the application, which I'm going through to address them, so they do understand that. In the meantime, you can see from the Thomas, the noise representative as well. I mean, he didn't really, get the hold of, the fully understanding. I'm not making any criticism, Chair, but it's very important we point that out, because this is a restaurant, Chair, that's what we must understand. And we provide substantial food. And it is a family restaurant. I mean, even Thomas said, we should have a SIA, look, I mean, there is no dance floor, and people coming to eat, in a restaurants, tell me, I mean, in my experience, I've been to lots of restaurants with music playing. Nobody plays loud music. They don't want, the customers don't want loud music as well. And Chair, I think, we put this application, there is a music, live music, because it's part of the, the business model. And Chair, I think the noise, we must understand, the noise part of this business, right? Because they've been, recently had a temporary event until midnight. They've been opening until midnight. And they also played, over 3 weeks now, until 11 o'clock live music during the opening ceremony. There were no complaints. Chair, I think the location is important. I think, I don't know, is it possible, can I share documents on a Google map, Chair, I think, so that we can quickly understand
Yes,
about the
yeah,
location.
if you're able to get them up, fine, yeah.
Yeah, okay, let me get that down for you. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know whether you can see, Chair.
Yes, we can
Okay,
see.
great.
Yeah.
So you can see, Chair, if you look at this 769 London.
These are maps that were sent this afternoon, aren't they?
Huh?
Is this the map that was sent this afternoon?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I mean, we're watching it now, but it would have been nicer to have had it earlier if it was meant to be listened to.
Yeah, that's okay, Chair. I mean, luckily, with the new technology, we can all look at it together. So right now, so Chair, if you look at here, okay. Oh,
sorry, Chair, it's Kaniz Ali again, the legal advisor. You are entitled to disregard the map because this was not circulated earlier on and insufficient notice was given. So you are entitled to disregard it and the applicant would have to abide by that.
Yeah,
Well,
I got that, Chair. I totally understand that, but it's important, we looked at this. So the representation comes from a group of people who lives here behind. And before their houses, Chair, there's a premises over here, and also there are garage behind, all these are garage. There is a space, and then the wall, and then there, the houses are there, their houses. So right now, I'm just going to end this, Chair. I think I just wanted to point that out, but I will do that. Hold on 1 second. So, excuse me. Right. Okay, Chair. Sorry, excuse me 1 second.
It's your time that you're eating into, so, you know.
Yeah, that's okay. Chair. Okay, I mean, I just wanted to, look at the time. Chair, I think, in terms of noise, we had one objection until the last day of the representation is the 5th of April. We had one objections from number 24, the guy called Bloom. And then, this particular, I thought, okay, we had one representation from the residents. So I was trying to contact him. On the 4th, I was speaking to him and, trying to come up with, they address their concerns. Because if you really look at their concerns, Chair, they're talking about, trespassing, truck stealings, and, I mean, these are nothing to do with this premises. This is a restaurant, and number of their points they raised there. They have nothing to do with the restaurant. The customers coming in.
Sorry, can you point out where the restaurant is in this picture?
Which picture is my map?
Well, the picture you've got on the screen. Where's the restaurant there? Because I don't see it.
Oh, I need to bring that up again, Chair. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, Chair. Okay. Because it's an important factor in making.
Yeah, I know you might be making it, but we never received this till this afternoon. So, we're well within our powers to ignore it. But I can't, and
actually,
you're making comments, which
I do get that.
I'm going to stop this now. I'm going to stop this now. It's not valid. It was not given in time for us to legitimately understand what we're talking about, and it obviously is not being made any clearer in the discussion. So I'm going to stop that now. Let's move on. You can move on to the rest of your presentation.
Yeah. Okay, that's good, Chair. I think that's fine, actually. So.
Sorry, Chair, it's Kenise again. Just to remind that the applicant has already exceeded his time.
Yeah.
So if you quickly finish off.
Yeah, thank you. So all I wanted to say, Chair, in the conditions we approach, and I like to say, this particular premises is not going to contribute to any of the existing problems. That's what we are looking at, a cumulative impact policy. Then, I like, the residents also look at this business as a positive impact in the area. The place has been closed for a year, and then now they invested money on the security, and it's really good for them. And the police have not put a representations, their representation mostly relating to crimes and disorder. The police are not, not considering this particular premises is going to contribute to that. And, we have addressed their concerns through the conditions, Chair. I think that's all I wanted to say, Chair. Thank you. And I'll come back with my summary.
Okay, right. Okay, can we close your item? You got it?
So I have closed my map.
Close your screen. It's still showing, I think.
It's still showing?
I think it's still showing, isn't it? I don't know.
It's not showing.
You need to stop sharing your screen. If you click on the button stop sharing, then it will take the document off the screen.
Okay. Hold on. Let me do that. So actually, I kind of come out of this.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Is it out now?
Yeah, we're all right now. Okay.
All right, thank you. Right,
okay, so you've finished your presentation. So I'm now going to ask councillors if they've got any questions of you. Councillor Medea, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, first question. Do your proposed hours of operation include the drink up time, or is that something that is going to be separate?
Yeah, thank you for asking that times. But we will have normally, the food ordering times also half an hour before the last order, and the alcohol is also the last order before half an hour.
So you're suggesting 1:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just needed clarification on one more point. Page 19, you mentioned that the applicant is applying for alcohol to be consumed both on and off the premises.
Yeah.
My only question is, they've returned back to page 37. It's saying that customers will not be permitted to remove alcohol from the premises.
Yeah.
So how, I mean, if they've got like a bottle of wine that they've purchased while with their meal and they've got some of it left, are they allowed to take that out?
Absolutely. And also there is, you know, the other thing the residents also misunderstood from their representation, you know, there is no space outside, nobody sitting outside. And also they are not allowed to take any glass, any bottles outside the premises. At the same time, the off sales is only for deliveries with the food.
Okay, so any drink that they've got left, they...
No, they can't. Nobody can't buy alcohol on its own. They cannot bring alcohol on its own at the premises. It is totally a restaurant with 80 seats maximum. But you know, obviously, right now, you know, considering all these restaurants are having a hard times, you know, I don't think this particular premises will be having, you know, 30, 40.
I'm going to interrupt you here. I'm going to interrupt you here. The councillor was not asking with regards to whether the customers can buy alcohol on its own without any meal. Councillor Asim was asking if what the premises will do in the event that customers have ordered a drink and it's closing time, and what the restaurant proposes to do with regards to that open bottle of, for example, wine. Could you answer that question, because that's what the council was.
I got it. Any leftover? No, they are not. Yeah, they are not allowed to take any alcohol, nothing outside with them. Absolutely, any open bottles, open glasses, nothing.
So in essence, you're really looking for a license on premises rather than on and off.
Yeah,
because there was a little bit of confusion as to why you wanted the license for off premises if you weren't allowing. But thank you for the clarification. That's all from me, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Puriwal, you got any questions? You're muted.
The question I was going to ask has already asked. Fine, that's what I was going to clarify. They're taking the drink out, but if they are quite happy not to take it out, fine, that's fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Surinder. I mean, I need clarification on that, because I find that what's been said to be very confusing about alcohol removal, because we've got the police conditions that said they're persons wishing to leave the premises to smoke, not to be allowed to take drinks outside with them. Customers will not be permitted to remove from the premises any alcoholic drinks supplied by the said premises in open containers. Notices are placed around the premises, request patrons to leave the premises. Right. Alcohol sold but not consumed on the premises unless accompanied by a separate meal. Where I'm losing this somewhere, but where have we got the premises saying that they're selling for off? They're selling off sales on alcohol. It says both, and then you redacted on that. You said no, it's not both. Off premises.
Chair, I think if you look at as probably we may have to incorporate another conditions, but if you look at the actual applications on the part M, where we put out our operating schedule.
Yeah, which page? Which one?
On the actual application, Chair.
Yeah, I've got the application. That's what we've got in front of us. Which part?
Okay. M for mother.
I'm sorry, there's a plane just going over.
Yeah.
Let me just let that pass.
Yes.
See, now you're talking about noise. There's noise.
Exactly. That's the noise.
Right. So let me just get this clear. Provision of late night refreshment
And in the application,
Is
Chair,
that
before
that's off sales, is it? Because it's not, nowhere in your script have you actually mentioned off sales. It can only be bought in by the fact that somebody's put a cross where it says both. And you know, it's a very different sort of set of circumstances. How are they being delivered from on off sales?
Chair, with you know, nowadays people so you know, nearly all of the restaurant where they sell alcohol, they do deliveries with the food. If somebody want to order a food, and then with that, if they want to order a bottle of wine, and we will be able to do that.
So
it's not like people.
How are you going to do it? What's the vehicles that are going to be used? How is it going to be enacted?
Oh, okay. People normally order online through Just Eat, Uber Eat, that kind of, you know, food delivery companies, and you know, they make an order and then we supply the alcohol.
So what are these are motorcycles?
The deliveries, not exactly, is mostly they use electric bicycle nowadays. You know, majority of them they use electric bicycle for deliveries.
Any conditions on what they should be? I mean, somebody, as far as this is concerned, somebody could come down here with a diesel engine with no silencer on it and be perfectly all right, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but Chair, I think people don't do that because they're highly expensive nowadays. You know, for them,
Yeah,
it's not
it's not in your conditions.
Yeah, I mean, we are happy to put that in. Yeah, definitely. Why not? I think that's what we're going to happen because all the deliveries that the business rightly doing now, they use electric bikes.
Yeah, it's almost like it's been, you know, I'm feeling like it's been sneaked in under the counter. You know, it's not. It doesn't seem to be. You know, you haven't paid any in your description about what's happening. You didn't even mention off sales. You never even mentioned it.
Chair, I think it is very clear in the applications. And even if you look at the application sections, if you go down in the applications, Chair, you know, it's a letters going A, B, C, D, E, F. If you go to section M for mother.
Yeah.
And then you will see a number of conditions we proposed. And if you look at condition number 6.
Sales of alcohol off the bet should only be supplied with ancillary to a takeaway or delivery meal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. It's you know, you didn't refer to any of that in your comments. That's why I'm saying that it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, no, I got that, Chair. It's a little bit confusing, you know, when it comes to off sales, but is you know.
So these off sales are going to be during which times of the day?
The restaurant is open between 11 and 1 o'clock, and the weekends is 11 to 2. You know, we are not opening early in the morning. Is 11 o'clock.
I'm not worried about. Well, I suppose I am worried about early in the morning. You know, the residential area. But I mean, I'm trying to figure out. You know, delivery. There's nothing in there that restricts delivery to the opening hours of the restaurant.
It will be restricted to the opening hours of or licensing hours of the restaurant, Chair. Can be done beyond that.
Yeah, all right, okay. Yeah, so, right, we move on. Are there any questions from the objectors of the, sorry, no, I've skipped a point. Are there any questions from our licensing officers?
Yes, Chair, I've a question. I have a question. Just wanted to ask the applicant whether or not they had referred to this statement of licensing policy prior to filling out this application.
Yeah, yes.
You only reason I've obviously mentioned that is if it was you had reviewed such document, you will understand where myself is coming from with looking for the restricted hours to be mirrored for core hours, solely on the point of suggestion that later hours may be considered where the applicant has identified any risk that may undermine the promotion of the licence objectives and has put in place robust measures to mitigate those risks. And unfortunately, the only measure that you've put in to take into consideration for the later hours is, as Tom Blackford has obviously raised, is the notices. And I don't feel that is a robust measure to mitigate any risks that could undermine the four licensing objectives. That is enough. You haven't offered enough for us to be able to consider later hours on the one condition, suggesting that you'll put notices up to minimise the impact of noise to the residents. So therefore, I've had to refer back to the core hours because I don't feel that the measures you've put in place are going to be robust enough.
Well, I get that is your opinion, Charlie, but obviously we have to look at the operation of this business, as a restaurant, offering food, not a bar, right?
No, of course.
Thank you.
Right. Who else have I got? I've got your colleague. Is he still here? Yeah. Thomas, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Thomas, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a couple of points. For the applicant, in relation to the noise from music, in the application it says for live music and DJ. Has any thought been taken into consideration for the soundproofing of the restaurant and a potential noise limiter looked at? We've not had any information as to what the sound system will be in the restaurant, which obviously would be helpful. And a second point in relation to the delivery drivers, as I stated in my representation, a concern is noise from vehicles coming and going from the venue at late hours. How do you plan to control, firstly, customers coming and going at such late hours, and also these takeaway delivery vehicles, also the human noise from the drivers, regardless of what type of vehicles they use? How do you plan to control the noise from the vehicles and from the drivers themselves when they're coming and going at such late hours?
Okay. Thank you for asking that question. So in terms of the noise proof, okay, I think in any conditions that we put a part of the application, we have to look at whether it's appropriate, necessary, and it is really proportionate and relevant, really. But in terms of noise control, I normally, in my experience, we look at, for a bar where I have a dancing floor and things like that. But this particular premises, it is a restaurant. It's only for occasionally, they're gonna have a music when they have, like, somebody want to have a small party for a birthday party, for example, want to stay a little bit late. And if authorities are really concerned about, deliveries, but I think there are other premises doing deliveries around there until midnight, beyond that as well. And then the question will be whether our delivery driver is going to contribute to the extra problem. I would say extra noise. What I would say to you, that is not going to be the case in this instance. And also, you have to look at these premises, where it is situated. It is situated in a high street, and there is enough space in the front, for small electric vehicles to park. And what we are looking at, we are not looking at, hundreds of deliveries. I was looking at their business plan, really. They are looking at, between 11 and 12 o'clock, probably about 4 deliveries. That's the maximum they're going to get. Right now, it's not like hundreds, maybe every 4 day. I mean, when I look at their business plan, I looked at, what's the delivery time scale. They only have deliveries between like every 45 minutes, one delivery every 45 minutes, to minimize the cost and everything else. And also the delivery companies are things like Uber, and actually they do manage the drivers effectively. And actually they don't even want to make any complaints. Nowadays, you can log into Uber and make a complaint on a driver. The drivers are being monitored by the delivery companies as well. So we looked at all of those things and then looked at what is relevant for this particular business, premises operations, and we provided accordingly those conditions. But regardless of that, accepting the police conditions is more than robust enough. I mean, obviously we had discussion with them, they have raised the same concerns. So there are about 5 conditions we agreed with them in order to address the noise nuisance. Thank you.
Right, is that all, Thomas?
Yeah. I just wanted to reiterate that obviously, given that post 11 o'clock, background noise is going to drop off significantly, and that will severely impact the amount of noise generated by any premises that is open at that time. And as you're saying, you're advertising as a restaurant. Is there a great need for this music? I mean, DJ available for special occasions, as stated in the application, that is a cause for concern for us going on to those late hours without the implementation of a noise management plan.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Right, now can I have, are there any questions from residents?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, of course you can, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I have 2 questions for the applicant. The first one concerning the opening hours. I'm a bit confused about all this, so if you could please explain to me. You said that your opening hours are not very early in the mornings, but I see that on page 7 of your application that you're open from 6 a.m. in the morning until 1 a.m. late at night. So could you explain to me what is it that you're trying to do with such early opening hours? And then my second question relates to your mentioning about birthday parties. So you seem to reiterate time and time again that there isn't a dance floor, but then you also say that you would want to occasionally have DJs, have birthday parties going late into the night. So could you explain to me, what do you envision those people late at night to be doing, just sitting around the table after their meal? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you for asking that question. That's fair enough. So obviously the opening hours for alcohol, that's what we have. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, the premises, obviously will be planning to have like coffee, tea, and that kind of things for the early morning, but in terms of alcohol opening hours is 11. We're not having anything before 11 o'clock for alcohol opening hours. So that's what I meant, because today we are here for not for the really opening hours, it's really we are here for the alcohol hours and the late night refreshment. But in terms of the music and the DJs, you will see, I mean, so far, I know you are living in number 12, right? In that 16. Road, and you are nearly more than 150, 200 meters away from it, our premises, so even, I know you put representations, but on the other hand, if you look at the distance between you and your premises and our premises is, there are building between, the space between, there's a garage between, like that, right? So in terms of our noise, it's going to be very minimal,
I'm sorry, I don't think you've answered the question. The question is, what do you think the people will be doing at a birthday party after 12 a.m. when there is a DJ?
No, they will be eating and listening to the music.
Sitting
live
down.
music. Yeah, they will be all sitting down because you can see part of the conditions on the license. You know, we can only serve alcohol with the sitting customers.
And how would you be able to enforce it?
Because it's part of the, you know, the conditions on the license. You know, we can only sell alcohol to the sitting customers. It's not a bar. Okay, it's really enforceable. You know, you are right. You also have the right to make a complaint if there's a complaint, you know, after the license is granted, for example. But right now, you know, there's no evidence to prove this particular premises. You know, it's all your concerns. But right now, you know, to address your concern, we have a conditions there. The alcohol would only be served for the sitting customers. You know, not standing up, and only with the food also. You know, they are not going to drink on their own. You know, is people not going to get drunk? Because, you know, normally, I don't know, I never get drunk on a restaurant because it's quite expensive to drink, you know, because the type of premises it is, it's very expensive, you know, with the wine, glass of wine and the beer. People don't get drunk in a restaurant, you know, because they providing a substantial, you know, the type of it is. But anyway, so answer to your question, really, we have a conditions addressing your concerns.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, Chair, it's Kenise again. I'm just going to quickly remind the applicant to stop referring to addresses of residents.
Yeah,
I don't think, given their express consent for you to disclose their addresses. This is a public meeting and you are disclosing their address. You don't have their permission, and therefore could you please refrain from associating their addresses with their names? That's
okay, sure. Yeah, thank you. I got it. Yeah.
About to ask you the same. Yeah, I was a bit worried about that. Right, well, my apologies for allowing that to happen, Miss Wang. Right, okay. Any other questions from the residents? No, I can't see any.
Yeah.
Sorry?
If I may?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
No worries. For me, it's a bit the same point as one of the officer was saying. For me, I think there is a gap between the representation of the restaurant, which is supposed to be a family restaurant, and then when we look at the conditions, it looks like a nightclub. It opens until 2 a.m. with drinks and with live music. So for me, there is a big gap between a family restaurant and the conditions that are put in this proposal. And I am a bit worried of the position of the location of the restaurant, which is really next to the small alley, and it will contribute to an increase in social anti-behavior for sure.
Okay, Mr. Mortang. Right, you've frozen, so I'm not sure if you finished or it's just frozen.
No, I finished, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Right, okay. So that now takes us to, I'm going to just return back to my colleagues. Do either of my colleagues have any further questions of the applicant? Dear, no?
I think going back to Ms. Wang's point, I think she wanted a clarification with relating to the noise rather than the alcohol. I mean, I think is his name Arca or Mr. Thomas? I can't remember. But he kept going back saying that, oh, I don't get drunk in restaurants, whereas I think her point was relating to the noise. And if there is a DJ, then the noise levels will probably exceed the allowed recommended ones.
So is that a question, Padir?
No, I just wanted to clarify whether he's able to make reference directly to her.
I'll assume that it is a question of Mr. from Alka. Yeah. I don't know if there's any answer to it. No?
Is that the questions? Well, I think if you really look at the conditions are robust in terms of the police conditions. So on the if you look at the 5 condition, I would like to point out on the Appendix C and the 3rd page from there. So there's a one condition says clear and legible notices must be prominently displayed, and premises, leave the premises, and they can't take drinks outside, and any alcoholic drink cannot be, will not be permitted to remove from the open containers, and also one of the conditions, I think possibly.
So you sound like you're summing up at the moment. There, are you answering the question, or are you summing up?
No, I'm just saying, Chair. I think it's very important that the concerns raised by the residents, to address the concerns. What people going to do. After midnight, they will be eating, and any alcohol sold on the premises will not be consumed on the premises unless accompanied by the sit-down meal. And that particular conditions, Chair, has been put forward to address that particular concerns raised by the residents.
So can an individual person come to that restaurant, buy alcohol and leave the premises with that alcohol?
No.
Can they come there and buy a meal to take out and leave with alcohol and a meal to take out themselves?
No, normally all the takeaway deliveries are online orders.
That's not what I asked. I said, can they come and take a meal and alcohol out themselves without, Uber or someone else doing it?
They can if they want to come and, normally people have to order anyway, but if they want to come and order it, that's not going to happen. But if they come and order a meal and buy a bottle of wine, okay, we could supply that. Yes, they can take away home.
Okay. So there is a takeaway process there. So somebody can come in, go to the counter, order a meal to take out.
Yes, of course.
And then in doing that, can also say, can I have a bottle of wine or a pint of Foster's or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Councillor Borough, did you have anything more? No? Okay. I think now on all the objectors, we've got the objectors. So we move on now to summing up. So I'm going to ask the objectors that if they wish to sum up.
Sorry, Councillor, it's Rita. I don't think the objectors have had a chance to speak.
I thought I did have, because I did.
No, they haven't had a chance to speak. Sorry.
That's what happens when they ask questions, but they're not questions; they're statements.
Okay, no, they haven't actually said it.
All right,
what their concerns are.
I thought I did ask, but I didn't get a response. Okay, right. So, have any of the objectors wish to make any closing comments? Do you wish to ask any questions, or not to ask any questions?
Sorry, Chair, it's Kenise. I think what you're trying to ask is, do the objectors now want to present their
case? Yeah.
Their case, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting confused, because it seems to have been an awful lot of the questions were statements.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Do you have anything further to add then in your case? The objectors. No, I can't see anybody rushing to the microphone.
I can just add that, yes, I agree with that. If it's a family restaurant, 11 o'clock is the right time to close. Anything beyond that, it doesn't go with a family restaurant. And the noise control should be there, because even a bird chirping at 2 o'clock in the morning will be very, very loud for everybody else to hear. So there should be an element of controlling the noise, and I think 11 o'clock should be the closing time as everybody else. And as far as the investment is concerned, I agree that they have invested 150,000, but we have also invested 700,000 in the properties, and we want to come and rest at our homes. We don't want to be disturbed at 2 o'clock in the morning. This is a very important thing. I think even the hoteliers, they want to go to their home. They will like a quiet evening or quiet night. And that's what I sum up my case. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Any further comments from any of your colleagues? No?
Yeah, maybe just to say that we are not against the restaurant. We, as Afak said, we recognize the investment, but we just want to keep it as a family restaurant and not as a nightclub or a bar.
Okay. Right. Fine. So that's all the summing up from the applicants. Now all I've got is for the licensing authority or the other relevance. Do you have anything to do in summing up?
I'll sum up, Chair. So it's Charlie Hennessy, Licensing Enforcement. Yeah. Basically, to sum up my representation, I don't feel the applicant has provided us with robust measures to mitigate issues surrounding the 4 licensing objectives. So therefore, we, the Licensing Authority, would look to seek for the reduction to mirror court hours. And that's it from me.
Okay. And what about your colleague? No, are you speaking on his behalf as well, Charlie? Or is Thomas, do you want to say anything more, Thomas?
Yes, please, Chair. Thank you. Yeah, again, Thomas Blackford, Community Enforcement and Regulatory Services. Yeah, just to sum up on my representation, again, I don't feel that the measures either included in the application or those in Appendix C are robust enough for the prevention of public nuisance, and that we wouldn't want this application to be granted with the hours. We would look to have the hours severely reduced, and for a noise management plan to be submitted by the applicant, so that we can prevent public nuisance and further disturbance to nearby residents.
Okay, thank you. Other persons, do you have anything to say in summing up?
If I may, Chair, can I?
Yeah. Oh no, sorry, it's other persons. I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't looking in your direction. Now, is there any of the objectors? Let's put them. You're called other persons officially, so that's why there's confusion. I mean, you're not really objectors. But if you'd like to make any summing ups on your objections, then that would be fine. If there's anything, no, are you comfortable? Okay, then I move to the applicant and ask the applicant if he wishes to sum up, but please don't introduce new material.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think I apologize, if I mention to the number of the house, sorry about that. Yeah, but it's important for us to, I've been just looking at the distance between, the people who objected to it. I think that's also an important factor. The noise is the way the building is there. The noise is going to go out. But yet, we had there are. As we mentioned, we have a small amount of representation today. There are people living upstairs who will be living nearby. There are residences opposite the building, very close by. None of them put objections. In terms of the noise, I think it's more than robust enough with the particular operations. But what we like to do, I think we are happy to have a conditions to say we will submit a noise management plan. Every time we have an event happening, things like anyone want to have a birthday party, that's definitely an occasional one, so we're happy to put a noise management. It's normally happen to bars and nightclubs, in my experience. But if that is the, if you want to accept that, that's more than robust enough to, to address their concerns. Just coming back to the hours, Chair. I can understand the 4 hours, but you have to look at, the cumulative impact thing, whether this particular premises opening beyond midnight gonna contribute, because, this high street is very busy and there are a number of premises until midnight and there's no reason, and the residents has concerns, so none of them is, is their experience, this is their concerns. But only thing we can do as an applicant, we can address their concerns. But number of their objections relating to people standing outside, we are not going to have that. So considering those conditions, Chair, we would like to invite the committee to look at, the hours and the families, what we mean by families, a family want to have a birthday party, on one day, and that's when we have this music, playing, but live music mostly, and there's no dancing floor and things like that. That's all I wanted to say, Chair. I really invite everyone to support this business. I think it's very important for their, the balance, get the balance, rights for the business.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right. I'm now, can I ask you to clarify the procedure for making the decisions and what options are open to us to the licensing panel?
Yes, Chair, thank you. So the panel will now retire to go into the deliberation room to consider the application and the representations. The panel has the option to either grant the application in part or in full, subject to standard conditions with extra conditions, or refuse the application. During deliberation, only the panel members will be present together with myself as the legal advisor. I will be there to advise the panel, and I will not be taking part in the decision-making process. Chair, normally we say that for all those who are in this hearing room, that it normally takes about 15 minutes for the presentation. If it takes longer, then this will be conveyed to those who will be waiting through our support team. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Kenise. Right, so we're now ready, Medea, Surinder, and Kenise to withdraw to the consideration room. As Kenise said, we hopefully would have completed this within 15 minutes, but if there is any changes to that, we will let you know. Okay, let's go.
Richard.
I'm in. Medea's in.
I'm not.
Heath is in. You're not in.
I'm not in.
I'll tell you what we'll do then. Well, let's clear up this matter. Then we'll try and get you in for the second half. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right, we're back in place. Can I say, just for information, Councillor Puriwell couldn't join us online, but he did join us by virtue of my telephone. So he took full part in the discussion. So it was the three councillors taking part, and Councillor Puriwell is still online at the moment via my phone.
Yeah.
So are we already? Oh, Heath, you're here, aren't you? Yes, I see KA. Is that you?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
Thank
good.
you.
Good. Okay, right. So right, we have discussed what we've of the application, and we have come to the following agreement. We believe that the applicant did not address the need for robust procedures and conditions as required by the licensing policy for core hours. We therefore we therefore are agreeing the core hours as contained in on page 16 of the council's licensing policy, which is Monday to Thursday 9 till 2300, Friday and Saturday 9 till midnight, Sunday 10 till 22:30. Those are the hours that we're agreeing. We also wish the applicant to submit a noise management plan to the licensing authority and to fit a noise limiter to restrain background music. These conditions are in addition to the conditions put in by the police, obviously with the amendments to the times that the police put in are now amended. Can I say that all persons listening to this bill can this application can appeal to the magistrates' courts within 21 days. A copy of today's decision will be available to all persons taking place within 5 days. So that brings us to the end of this particular application. I'm now going to call a 5-minute adjournment until we move on to our second application, which is for, let me see, I've lost it. No, not Mr. Devine.
I could assist. It is in relation to an application by Non Solo Gelato.
Yeah, Mr. Michael De Tomaso. I've got here. Yeah, that's the one, isn't it?
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to do a 5-minute adjournment whilst we go and do whatever we need to do, and then we come back here at approximately 10 past 4 to start the second application. Can you, in the meantime, Surinder, can you see if you can try and... I'm trying to. Okay, I'm going to disconnect you from my telephone for the moment. Okay. But if we don't see you on the screen, I'll ring you back.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Right, okay. Right, you okay then, Medea? You want to... I'm going to go off and make myself another coffee.
Hello, Mr. De Tomaso. I'm glad you could get your gremlins out of the way.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. I can. Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes, I can. And
this is Bill the Clerk, by the way. Yeah.
Pardon?
Oh, fantastic. It's great that you could actually get in. It's always doable by phone, but it's much nicer if you can see and hear everybody as you're supposed to.
Yes, I can see a number of participants. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you can never see everybody in these things.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah.
I'll see you in 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Stay tuned, as they used to say on the TV.
Thank you. I will indeed.
Stay tuned for the next exciting episode.
Definitely.
Too late now.
Grab my coat, put it across your shoulder.
No, it's not that. No, I don't think it can. I've got two body warmers on.
What are you saying, scarf?
The one around my neck, because it's really windy out here. So.
Well, come do it.
No, it's too late now. The damage would be done.
Right. Okay. Right, I've just had, I've got Surinder on my telephone because he's unable to connect to the live connection, but he can hear everything that's going on and will take part in any debate that's going on. So he's live on my telephone, which is sitting by the side. Can you confirm that you're there, live and well?
Yes, I'm here. I'm clear. Thank you.
Okay, right. So, Mr. Detomasa, are you okay with that? What I've just said about the third member of my panel is actually joining us via the telephone connection.
That is absolutely fine for me. Thank you.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Okay, Nicola, who else do we need? We don't, do we? Oh, no, we've got Caneets is present. And do we have objectors in the?
Yeah, I believe Vanessa Townsend and Ruth Woods are actually on.
Yeah, Vanessa Townsend here.
Yeah, they're both here.
Okay.
Yeah, Ruth Woods here too.
Okay, so what I intend doing is there's two of you. I will allow you 10 minutes, and as I will allow Mr. You're going to have to excuse me if I mispronounce your name, but Mr. Detomasa, for a similar amount of time of 10 minutes. So both sides, applicant and objectors, have exactly the same amount of time when we get to that stage. So, first of all, I go to Nicola. Can I then invite you to introduce yourself at this stage?
Hi there, my name.
Sorry, I've jumped the gun. I turned the page. Right, let me go to my colleagues. Right, can I ask Councillor Madea Essim to introduce herself?
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening, everyone. My name is Councillor Madiha Asim, and I'm the Ward Councillor for the Hounslow Heath Ward, and I'll be one of the panel members today. Thank you.
Right, Surinder, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Councillor Sindhu Pulewal, represent Central Ward, and I'm a member of this panel.
Okay, I'm Councillor Richard Foote. I'm a member for Hamworth Ward, and I'm chair of the licensing committee. So now I'm going over to the officers. Now, Nicola.
Hi. Yeah, my name's Nicola Harbour, and I'm the licensing authority officer.
Okay, and Caneets.
Good afternoon. My name is Kenise Ali. I'm the legal advisor advising today's panel.
Right. We also have officers acting in a producing role for the technical side of the meeting, but as they're not expected to be involved in the discussion, I will not be thanking them for their help, but not ask. I will thank them for their help. Sorry, but not ask them to introduce themselves. Yes, I will thank them for their help. We've struggled a bit today. Right. So has everybody muted their microphone again? Members of the public are reminded that the agenda and all the reports being considered by the panel today can be found on the council website under the licensing panel meetings page. So if you want to see them, that is where to look. I also want to make sure that all members have seen the agenda and reports. Please now speak if you've not seen them. I believe we have, because we've been had them attached to the earlier meeting. I would like to remind members to the need to hear all of the evidence in each report we're considering tonight. This is a legal requirement. If you should find you're having technical problems and need to log out, oh, are they still digging your house up, Surinder?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
No, I'm getting a lot of noise coming.
No, is this having any noise?
No, just now I was getting something like scraping noise. Okay, never mind. I'll carry on. If you find you're having technical problems and need to log out of the meeting and come back again, please. Please let me know immediately, ideally beforehand, but if not, afterwards. So I'm reading the instructions,
okay.
Surinder. So don't worry, you don't need to respond.
Okay.
Right. By returning on your mic, this would be a permitted interruption. We can then decide how far we need to recap, if that's necessary. Or if the member needs to not vote on that item. Finally, I would say that any member of the public listening or watching, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We hope this meeting will go well, but any virtual meeting may suffer an unexpected technical hitch, so please bear with us. I should also clarify this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel in the next few days. Contributors to the meeting are asked to remember that. They will therefore be included in the recording of this public meeting. Thank you. We'll now move on to the second item on the agenda. Right, we now move to the second licensing application for decision at this meeting. This afternoon's application is in respect of an ice cream vendor, non-solo gelato, to be positioned on the public highway located on the footpath junction of Thames Road and Brooks Lane, Chiswick. Where we need time contributions, I will ask the legal officer to alert me to when allocated time has been reached. I will also ask her to alert me prior to the guillotine if we've not concluded the meeting. As I said earlier, I'm allowing 10 minutes for the applicant, 10 minutes for the objectors on this one. May I remind all members, officers and public speakers at this meeting to introduce themselves each time they speak and also turn off their microphones when they finish speaking. It's also important to speak slowly and clearly so that everyone can understand what you're saying. Finally, if you are making reference to any agenda documents, please give page and paragraph details. Right, so can I just confirm who'll be speaking for the applicant? That's Michelle, yes? Can I call you Michelle? That's easier on my tongue. Right.
Okay, it will be myself.
Okay, and can we just formally note who's speaking for the objectors?
So Vanessa Townsend, head teacher of Strand-on-the-Green Infant and Nursery School.
Right.
And Ruth Woods, head teacher, Strand-on-the-Green Junior School.
Right. Thank you. Right, the process for an application with speakers is as follows. 1, the officer introduction and confirmation of the facts. The officer to give their presentation on the application. The application will then be asked if the applicant will then be asked if they agree with the circumstances described in the officer's report. I don't think there's any police authority, licensing authority or other body's case. I'm crossing that. I'm looking at Rita. No, there's no others, is there?
No, there's no others.
No. The applicant's case, we will then invite the applicant to speak for 10 minutes a total and answer the questions from all other parties. There will then be questions of the applicants. Other persons, no. We next ask the other persons to explain their submissions and everyone will be given a chance to ask questions of them. They will have up to 10 minutes in total overhaul. Summing up, I will invite all parties to sum up their position, with the applicants being entitled to the last word, with their summing up being the last to take place. The panel will then leave the meeting to discuss the case and reach its decision. It will be joined by no one else except for our legal advisor, who will give advice on the law but not be a party to the decision. Once we have done that, we will return to this meeting to read out the decision on the application, and that will conclude the consideration of this item. Right, we now therefore begin the formal meeting of this case, and I will start by inviting the licensing officer to introduce the report.
Thank you, Chair. Members are requested to determine the application for the grant of a temporary street trading licence in respect of an ice cream vendor, non-solo gelato, to be positioned on the public highway located on the footpath junction of Thames Road and Brook Lane, Chiswick. This application was submitted by Mr. Michael De Tomaso. The purpose of the application is to authorise the applicant to place a tricycle on the public highway to sell ice cream in the area as highlighted in paragraph 3 of this report. The applicant wishes to sell on the days and times as follows: Monday to Friday, 1500 hours to 1700 hours. The measurements of the area to be licensed would be 1.10 metres in depth by 2 metres in width. The application form, plan, photos of the proposed site and tricycle have been attached as Appendix A. In accordance with the procedures, Licensing Enforcement, Hounslow Highways, Fire Authority, Planning, Health and Safety, Food Safety, Traffic and Transport and the 3 ward councillors have been consulted. We have received 3 representations from other persons worried that the granting of the licence would be harmful to the health of children, amongst other concerns. The representations in full have been attached as Appendix B. A reply from the applicant to representation has been attached as Appendix C. A copy of the report and the representations have been sent to the applicant. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you, Nicola. Right, Michelle, I'll ask you if you agree with what the circumstances of the officer's report, but there's no need for the moment to expand on that. So if you do agree with what Nicola had to say.
Yes, it was very accurate. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we now move on. There is no reports from the police, licensing authority or other bodies. So we can move on to the next part. Oh dear. What's happening on my phone? It's getting scratched. Right. So we now move to the applicant to put their case. So, Michelle, would you like to put your case?
Thank you. I have to say that once again I was surprised that there has been a little objections from the 2 head teachers of the Strand-on-the-Green school. That is why we are here today. I am a parent of 3 children, and all 3 have attended nursery, primary school, and the junior school, where the 2 head teachers work. I fully know the area because I've been living in the neighborhood for 22 years. And I've been trading outside Strand-on-the-Green vicinity for the last 7 years because I hold a peddler license. The choice of obtaining a temporary license for 2 hours, Monday to Friday, weather permitting, because I don't trade every single day. One example is today. It's too cold, too windy. I'm not outside the school. It's to make it more convenient for parents to buy, if they wish, an ice cream for their children. There is a choice. It's either me in the vicinity of the school, or the corner shop, or the little post office, where they do sell packed industrial products, together with cigarettes, soft drinks, and cookies, and other sweets. The 2 hours are not because I want to target every single child in the school, as has been reported as a cynical trader, but it's to give opportunity also to other children of other schools, like a Grove Park School and Kew Green Prep School, that live in the vicinity of Strand on the Green, to the opportunity to reach my pitch. And there are a number of locals that don't have children, but they do buy ice cream from my bicycle, together with tourists as well, because Strand on the Green is a touristic attraction, because it has a beautiful path that you can walk on the river from Kew Bridge down to Riverview Groves. It's not because of any other reason of me obtaining the 2 hours. I do cycle around Grove Park as a peddler, holding a peddler license, so I might be 5:30 or 5:45. I would be by the Rack, which is a small green at the back of their school on Thames Road. And I would also be for 10-15 minutes by Kew Bridge before the 3 o'clock. So it is true, I am in the area, but not pitched outside the premises of the school for not longer than the law permits me to be. The 2 hours are just to make it more convenient for everybody, because they would know that I'm always there. I did get a temporary license last year. Pity it was at the end of the summer. It was around the 14th of July. The school ended on the 17th. So I was there for a little while. And I did hold the license for winter, October, November, December, and January. As you would expect, I didn't trade those months because I'm a sole trader. And I also do temporary, it's a temporary seasonal job. So if it rains, I'm not there. If I have events, I'm not there. If it's too windy, I'm not there. So out of the 6 months that I would hold the license, probably half of the time, I'm not outside the premises, even though it might seem that I'm always there. But truthfully, I'm not there every single day. I will answer questions, and I would like to put questions to the members on the board today.
Okay, you'll have the opportunity to question the objectors. They're not actually questions to the board members, but that.
No, sorry. People.
The board members will be questioning you. That's for sure. In fact, that's their opportunity now. So, Councillor Asim, do you wish to have any questions of Michaela?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Michelle, my question to you is, I know you mentioned briefly that you sell other products as well occasionally. At this particular venue, is it just the ice cream that you will be selling, or will you be selling other products like jelly and shortcakes and things like that?
So I didn't express myself properly. Sweets, cakes, soft drinks, and packed ice cream are not sold by me, are sold by the corner shop, which is nearby, and the post office as well. I only and exclusively sell organic gelato, artisan organic gelato, and fruit sorbets, which are dairy-free products. And there are always 6 flavors. There are no more than that. There is no other product that I've been selling outside the premises from my ice cream cart.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. Just my second point is, what sort of quantities are we looking at any one given time? Can your cart hold in terms of stock?
Do you mean quantity of portions that I sell, or the quantity of the product that I take along with me?
That you take along with you.
It depends of the season and of the day. If I know it's a very hot day, I would take more. If it's a cold day, or it depends on Friday, for example, that is a treat day. It's recognized as a treat day. I might have a full stock, and that would count 250, 300 ice cream. I have to say, most of the time, I return home with some ice cream if I don't do any other sales on the way back or other events.
Okay, and does that get reused again for the next time? Do you, in terms of storage, do you keep it at home?
The ice cream bicycle I trade from is a proper freezer, which is the temperature control is -12, 14. It goes in between, and it's the ice cream tricycle. It's has a battery that feeds the freezer. So when the temperature drops, with a switch, I can operate the battery that feeds the freezer.
Okay, thank you very much, Michelle.
I would never, if I may say, I would never sell a melted ice cream, because one, doesn't look good, and two, is not practical to and healthy as well, if it goes over a certain temperature.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Sim. Councillor Borough, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have questions at all. Thank you.
Sorry?
The question I wanted to ask has been asked. Thank you.
Oh, right, you've been asked. That's
no.
Okay, right. Can I? Yeah, I've only one question. Can you give me the approximate time that you're outside of the school from arrival to departure?
Right now, because I'm trading with my peddler license, I pitch myself just before the exit, 3:20, 3:25, 3:15. As it has been recognized and reported, it's very popular. So I end up having a queue of children, and well, parents and children. So what happens, as soon as that queue has been served, I have to move. So I'll go down to the rack. But in the past, last year, when I had my temporary license, I would pitch there myself a 3 and leave a 5 when I didn't have a client. But if there was someone, I would serve and then leave.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Pleasure.
Right, now, I'll go on. As any of the objectors have any questions of Michelle? Hello?
I don't have any questions. I've got something to say in a moment.
Yeah, you will get some time to say. What about your colleague?
No questions.
Okay, right, fine. Let's move on. If I go back to you, Councillor Sim, have you got any further questions? No?
No more questions from me, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Surinder, no more questions?
No more questions. No from me.
Okay, right. Now I might now move on to the objectors. You've got 10 minutes to make your case. So if you can share that any way you wish, either 5 minutes each or one speak for the 10 minutes, or whichever way you want to split it up. It's up to you, but it's a total of 10 minutes.
Okay, Ruth, shall I make a start?
Yeah, you go first, Vanessa.
Okay. I'm not sure if my camera's on. Is my camera on now?
Yes, your camera's on.
Always more polite to show.
If you're the blonde, the camera.
Yeah, I am. Well, yeah, just about. So yeah, we you know, the first point to make is we don't have an issue with ice cream. And certainly Mr. De Tomaso's ice cream, I'm sure, is very delicious. Our objection is entirely based on the location of the proposed location of the vendor. It's actually directly outside our school. We surveyed our community because we wanted to be sure that if we made this objection, that we represented the views of the families. So you will have seen that there was quite a huge response. It's unusual to have such a big response to a survey. And 146 of 255 families had an issue with the location. There were many other families that complimented the product, but there were also many that felt quite strongly that the location outside our schools is the wrong place to be. So let me just start by describing the reality of the proposed location. So Brooks Lane is a narrow one-way side street that runs along the length of both of our schools. It stretches from Thames Road to the railway pedestrian bridge. It's closed to traffic in the morning and in the afternoon at school pick-up and drop-off times, because it's the area where all of our children, except for nursery, wait for the doors to open. So all of our families wait there for the doors to open. Since COVID, all the children are dropped and picked up from this closed road. So only reception families actually enter our playground, and then the odd family from the juniors as well. But it's in effect our waiting area for families. So this is around 650 children and their parents in this closed, narrow road that, to all effective purposes, is part of our school at that time. It is in reality the only entrance and exit for our families. And this is a really important point. It's actually misleading to state that the proposed location is a certain distance from the school doors, because this is the school door. So this is where Mr. De Tomaso knows that he'll be seen by all the families leaving the school. I also would like to point out that my view, and I don't have a diary of this, but I did see the vendor there the whole of last summer term and on any good days and the spring term. And I know this is to be true because I spoke to him during the COVID pandemic when I asked him not to sell ice creams in that area, because we had lines of parents at 2-meter intervals and I didn't need another ice cream line there. But at that point, he wasn't able to effectively help me and move on. So why don't we want an ice cream vendor at the exit of our schools? So my first point is that it doesn't seem appropriate to place a snack stall at a school. I don't think that's appropriate. I believe that in some local authorities there's a minimum distance from a school that you're allowed to sell this kind of thing. I'm unclear what Hounslow's policy on this is. But what I do know is that Hounslow LA are very supportive and encouraging of schools promoting healthy eating. Both of our schools have a lot of initiatives trying to support children and families with healthy eating. We ask families to donate a book on their child's birthday instead of handing out sweets. We've reduced the sugar content in our homemade dessert lunch menu, and we offer fruit alternative on many days. And we have a range of curriculum and enrichment opportunities to promote physical activity and healthy lifestyles. And having an ice cream vendor at our entrance or exit every day just doesn't, to me, align with the school or LA initiatives to support families in making healthy choices. Far from this, I actually believe that granting a license appears to encourage families to make an unhealthy choice on their daily commute from school. Another point is that around a quarter of our families are eligible for free school meals or are on very low incomes. It's very difficult for these families to constantly have to walk past an expensive ice cream stall, which is unaffordable for them. I know Mr. Tomaso mentions the shops, but actually the shops aren't actually out there peddling their wares and showing off the ice cream. It can be very difficult for families to have the obligation to walk past every day. You'll see from the notes of all the comments made by our families that many of our families, regardless of income, resent the obligation to have to walk past every day. They have constant pleas from their children to have an ice cream, and they can't avoid walking past it because it's effectively in our playground, in our waiting area. Of course, good parenting makes it possible to say no or limit purchases. However, for us, it creates a pointless opportunity for a negative conversation right at the time when parents and kids should be enjoying a happy pickup. I see many a dysregulated child having a tantrum as they walk past. And parents come to me, and I'm sure Ruth Woods will acknowledge this as well, and actually say, why are you allowing an ice cream vendor in this location? And that's been said for years, and Mr. De Tomaso knows that. It reminds me of the previous policy we had a decade ago in supermarkets, displaying sweets at a checkout to tempt people. And it's the same thing, displaying ice cream outside of school to tempt children. So that was a practice that's been sensibly changed in supermarkets. And I'm surprised that we're thinking about putting it outside of school. Finally, I'm going to add that there's a safety concern. Mr. De Tomaso is right, quite a considerable queue forms back and towards past our zebra crossing. Again, I've had parents and members of staff come in and tell me that there's been close shaves at that Thames Road. It's a really busy area. I know Ruth and I work really closely on traffic control there. And toddlers come very close to issues in the road. And even if the queue starts to come back up Brooks Lane the other way, then that's very difficult too, because it gets muddled with our queues to pick up children. So I really want the council to consider the precedent they're setting for vendors to set up outside Hounslow schools. If the panel grants a licence to this vendor, then I'm concerned that what else could be sold in the future outside, at the exit to our school. And I respectfully therefore ask the panel to consider suggesting that Mr. De Tomaso reapplies for a licence away from our school exit, perhaps at the river, perhaps at the Rec, perhaps at the plaza where the Sainsbury's is down by Kew Bridge, or alternatively change the timings to avoid the 3 to 5 pickup when the most congestion occurs. That's all from me.
Okay. Has your colleague got anything to say?
Yes, I have. Thank you.
We are timing it, so I don't know where we're at with it. So my colleague will come in and tell you if we get.
Okay.
I think that was 5. Anyway, go Ruth.
I've timed my bit to 5, so I'll be quick. Okay. So the first point I would like to make is like Vanessa said, that our application, our objection towards granting the application is on behalf of the school community and not based on a personal viewpoint. Mr. De Tomaso and his family were a much loved family of Strand School, and we have no difficulty with Mr. De Tomaso and his family. It is merely about the location of this ice cream vendor. So Vanessa has already mentioned our survey. 57% of families raised objections to the location, and these objections can be grouped into 3 main core areas. The first area is about safety. So the location of the pitch at the end of Brooks Lane is extremely close to the zebra crossing on Thames Road, an area that is already very crowded at pickup time. Parents park dangerously and illegally, and we're already in negotiations with the local authority about installing a safer street scheme in that area. But until that point, it is a real difficult area, and the queues from the ice cream vendor just exacerbate that problem. Brooks Lane itself is gated at pickup and drop off time to keep our families safe, and this means that there's a pinch point at the top of Brooks Lane, which I think the pavement narrows to 2 meters 50, but all the people entering Brooks Lane from Thames Road are funneled down that very small area. So this is exactly where the ice cream vendor is placed, and this does make it difficult for families to get in and out of Brooks Lane. Service, as Mr. De Tomaso has acknowledged himself, is sometimes slow, so crowds and queues do form regularly, leaving the area unsafe and congested, with lots of families waiting to pick up from school, lots of young children running around, and in fact, the crowded pavements just exacerbate that already dangerous situation caused by poor sight lines because of the poor parking areas. And the crowding and risk caused by the location of the pitch is a consistent theme in the parental responses to our questionnaires. Secondly, the main other point that parents mentioned is that of health considerations. So to support Hounslow in reducing their childhood obesity rate, we're committed to being a healthy school. Like the infants, we have a whole range of initiatives tackling this. First of all, improving children's understanding of healthy eating, increasing their physical activity and so on. And many respondents to our questionnaire felt that having a gelato stall at the exit to our school on what many families deem to be our school site, as Vanessa has already explained, directly contradicts both our and Hounslow's assertions that we're committed to improving the health of our young people. In our view, the mixed messaging from Hounslow is confusing, encouraging schools to be healthy schools on one hand, yet granting licenses to food vendors directly outside school premises demonstrates a lack of consistency of goals and messaging between the LA departments. The vendor makes the point that our school meals are not healthy every day with desserts on offer, such as crumble and cream or brownies. This is not accurate. As a school, we're committed to providing healthy and nutritious meals, and to this end, all our meals, including the desserts, conform to the National School Meals Standards. This means that while brownies may feature, they are in fact healthy brownies, including hidden vegetables such as beetroot, or appearing once in a 3-week menu cycle. The final group of comments from parents was around the location of the pitch, which is basically at what parents perceive to be the entrance and exit to our school, Brooks Lane. And they think that having the ice cream vendor right there does cause some difficulties in terms of, as Vanessa has mentioned, families wanting, children wanting to buy ice creams. Many of our families, 25% of them, are people premium families who are really feeling that cost of living pinch. It is true, there is a shop just around the corner from our school on Thames Road, but again, parents can make the active choice to avoid that. They can cross the road. They can walk round the other way, but to exit onto Thames Road, you have to pass Mr. De Tomaso's pitch. And that is the thing that our parents have objected to. So finally, in conclusion, we are not proposed to Mr. De Tomaso's ice cream. Again, I'm sure it's very delicious. Many of our families have said so. What we are opposed to is that location of the pitch in such close proximity to the entrance and exits to our schools. The pitch could be moved to, for example, outside the Steam Packet pub, where there is a slightly wider pavement area. Lots of families walking up and down the river, which, as Mr. De Tomaso has mentioned, is one of his other draws of customers, would be good, or even moving it to the Rec, where many of our families go after school to enjoy a hot summer's evening. So that is our point. We would like the council to really consider our application and to take into account the breadth and the depth of views of our whole school community about this. It is not solely the head teachers of the school putting forward their personal views. We are here merely as representatives of our school community, and we'd like you to consider their views when granting or not granting this licence. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Ms. Woods. Right, let's see. Now, I move on. Questions of the objectors. Councillor Asim, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair. Just for my own understanding, I want to know over what period of time was this data collected? The one they used for the survey, was it a week, 1 month?
No, we sent out a Google Forms survey to our family, and we allowed them, I think, from memory, Vanessa, a 2-week period to respond to that.
Okay.
2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
No, hang on. Now, I'll come to you later, Michelle. You'll be able to ask questions later. Right, Councillor Asim, do you have any other questions?
That's all from me, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Purivel, are you with us still? I think I've lost him. No, he's sorry, Councillor Purivel. Sorry, yeah, I had you on mute. Right, do you have any questions?
Well, very near the school, there's a traffic disruption. I think it's probably health and safety of the children. That's what I'm concerned about. What the vendor is going to take into account, how he is going to ensure that the children are not put at risk.
Well, that's really a question for the vendor, Surinder. What we're asking at the moment, do you have any questions of the objectors?
No, that's it's a question for vendor. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay. Can I just Can I ask? I've got a couple of questions. Can the vendors tell the objectors tell me how many years has this ice cream been sold from this particular site?
I think from memory, time is quite hard to judge at the moment because COVID seems to have warped time. But Vanessa and I think that possibly 2 years before COVID.
Yeah, roughly speaking.
Roughly.
It may be
4 years in total, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know that for exact though.
No, okay, no, I'm just trying to get a feel for it. Have there been any instances of problems or accidents outside the site entirely due to the location or the parking of this particular vehicle?
There's ongoing congestion and queuing.
No, accidents.
No, there's been no actual accidents that have happened, but I have had parents approach me to say that it's an accident waiting to happen because we're so close to the zebra crossing there. And so the queue trails back to there and it looks like a child might be crossing or they're not crossing. It's unclear.
But
we've also got
yes, but
because
answer
the
my
queue,
question, there hasn't been any accident.
no, there hasn't been an accident yet.
No, okay.
Not yet.
Well, you could say that whenever you like, yeah. Right, this ice cream, I'm getting a bit confused because in part of your opening, you described it as being that you considered it was healthy. And then in another part, you were saying that you didn't want unhealthy ice creams supplied on your premises. I'm a bit confused. One, obviously, your description as your premises, as you've admitted yourself, it's not on your premises, it's outside your premises. Yeah?
Yeah, that is correct. It is outside our premises. It is on a public footway outside our premises. However, as we've identified, that is the entrance and exit point that parents use to come to school. And in terms of the healthiness, what we're saying is that there is no, we were in response, I think, to Mr. De Tomaso's point that his ice cream was healthy. And I think that the whole point of our point about the healthy eating is that parents want to be given that choice about healthy eating rather than have it so clearly displayed outside the school.
Okay. Okay, that's all my questions. Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, that's all my questions. Can I just, Harleen, can I call you back? Sorry, because I've got my phone open. Other people are using it to make phone calls into it. Right. So, Michelle, do you have any questions of the objectors?
Yes. May I ask the objectors, is it true that on their reports, some parents are referring to a van using diesel, polluting with fumes, and being right outside the door? The reason why I asked that question is because as those comments have increased the percentage of those who are saying that do not want the ice cream to be nearby the school. I trade from a bicycle, not a van. I don't have an engine, and I'm not right outside one of their doors.
It's true that 1 or 2 people have possibly considered the fact that we used to have an ice cream van at one end of Brooks Lane and Mr. De Tomaso up the other end. Luckily, well, for now, the ice cream van's not there. But yes, it's true that a couple of parents possibly thought that, but it's literally a handful. If you read through the comments, the majority of them are not about the van. Vast majority. There's a couple. But yes, we absolutely don't want an ice cream van either.
Yeah, go carry on, Michelle. Yeah, if you have other questions.
Yeah, my other question was, how long I had been trading outside Central Green. May I ask if they do remember having my ice cream bicycle at the summer inside their premises. And if they do remember taking a 10% of my trading several times since 2014 to just before COVID period.
Yes, we do remember you trading at our summer fair. That is an arrangement that you made with the Friends of Strand, who is our PTA association, and not with the schools directly. And that's a one-off occasion rather than an everyday occurrence, as per your licensing request. So yes, we do remember that.
Okay. Is that all your questions, Michelle?
No, I'll leave it to for my conclusion. I do know the calories of my ice cream. I would like to ask them if they know the calories of the dessert that they serve at school, where children don't have a choice. Parents have a choice if they want to buy an ice cream or not. So I just wonder if they knew about the calories of their desserts.
Yes, we do actually, because as I stated in my objection, all our desserts are conform to the National Schools Meals Guidelines. And in terms of your point about choice, there is always a choice on dessert that the children make, and we encourage the children to make healthy choices. For example, fruit is on offer every single day, and we encourage the children to take that. And all our meals are served within a balanced nutritional framework, which is developed by our school meals provider.
Right. Okay, Michelle, is that all the questions, or have you more?
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Can I go back, Councillor Asim? Do you have any further questions following that?
No further questions from me, Chair. Thank you.
Surinder, do you have any further questions?
No, I don't have other questions.
Yeah. I've got just one. I'm a bit puzzled by you talked to, about an ice cream van when there was talk about the diesel. Did you object as the school to the parking of the ice cream van?
Yes, we did regularly. We objected to the ice cream van vendor himself, and we objected to the police about it, but they told us that we were unable to object because it was a public highway.
Okay.
And he was parked on a public highway.
Right. And so outside your school is not a public highway?
No, it is a public highway outside our school, yeah.
Okay. Now, if I was confused before, I am now. Right. Let's move on.
Sorry, I see why you're confused. I'm sorry, I'll just clarify if you'd like. There's a turning head at the end of Brooks Lane, which is a public road where the residents come and turn their cars and leave. And that is where the ice cream van used to park, not on the pavement, actually on a road.
Right, okay. Right, well, where are we? Sorry, yeah, you did have your question. I'm going to allow you that question, Michelle, maybe, but we had finished. I did ask you if that was all of your questions. Do you wish to get a question in quickly?
Yes. What is the difference between parked on a pathway, on a large pathway, or on a road itself?
Yeah. Now this sounds like a debate, and that's not what we're talking. Now, I'm not going to allow that. This is moving into a debate, and that's not the purpose of the question time.
Okay. Thank you.
So we've asked all. I'm going to ask, we now move on to summing up. I think I've included everybody. I haven't excluded anybody, have I? Yeah, can we move into summing up? So first of all, sorry, the two head teachers, if you would like to sum up.
Let me bring my camera back. There you go. Yeah, for me, it just comes down to the panel really understanding the location, the proposed location. So the fact that, just to re-emphasise that all of our families, except our nursery families, wait on Brooks Lane when it's closed to traffic at the end of the day. So it is in effect where all of the children from both schools are picked up from. I just wanted to make sure that had been emphasised.
Yeah.
Is there anything else from you?
No, I think that's it, Vanessa. Our objection is totally about the placement of the vendor and the congestion and the knock-on effects on safety that causes.
Right, Michelle, do you have any, you can sum up now?
Do I have 1 minute or 3 minutes? Sorry.
Well, you can sum up. I'd rather if you kept it to being, you know, something normal and acceptable. Yeah, but I mean, I would think 3 minutes would be quite long, but never mind. You're summing up. You cannot introduce new material, so you're summing up matters that you've already included there.
Yes, I was going to refer to safety. Safety has been my priority, knowing that I deal with young customers and their parents. There have been no accidents caused due to my presence in Brooks Lane since 2014. My purpose of my request is to be in Brooks Lane, which is a public highway, closed to traffic between 3 to 5, allowing more than 4.5 meters, nearly 6 meters from a wall to the curb where I stand. And I'm more than the double the amount of distance from a zebra crossing that the law allows me to be. Strand-on-the-Green, as the traffic in Strand-on-the-Green has been revised by the council, is a no-through zone, so there is no traffic as there used to be in the past. Cars do not use it as a shortcut, as we all know since September last year. I'm very sorry that people feel that I'm causing congestion, but it's not something that is there every day and is not caused by me. It's because of the amount of people using Brook Lane. There are 2 entrances and 2 exits, so people can go around if they wish to go around to the ice cream pitch. They don't have to walk past the ice cream cart in Brooks Lane on the corner with Thames Road. There are alternatives, routes that parents could take if they wish to take. But there again, it's a safe location, respecting all the distances that the council and the law requires, and in some cases double the amount. There is nothing else I could add to it. A record demonstrates that the ice cream cart has not caused harm to anybody, no missed accident or no actual accidents reported to police or to the school. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Michelle. Right, I'm now going to invite our legal advisor to clarify the procedures for making decision and what options are open to us as a licensing panel. Candice?
Thank you, Chair. The panel will now retire and go into the deliberation room to consider the application and the representations heard and before them. The panel has the option to firstly grant the application, or grant the application in part or in full, subject to standard conditions with extra conditions, or alternatively the panel can refuse the application. During the deliberation, only the panel members will be present, with myself as the legal advisor. As the legal advisor, I will not be taking part in the decision-making process, but will be there to advise the panel only. Chair, we normally say that we give about 15 minutes for this. If it takes longer, then this will be conveyed by our support team. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Candice. Right, so we're going to move to the other meeting. As I said, we've had one of my colleagues, Surinder, his means to connect via the internet broken down, so he's keeping in touch with us via my phone, which has still got 73% left on it, so we're okay. So we will, the three of us will discuss what's been said here today and then come back to you, hopefully within 15 minutes, but if it does going to go on longer, we'll let you know. So in the meantime, we will now move to our alternative premises. Okay.
Bill? Sorry, this is Kenise. I think Councillor Foote is on mute, so he can't.
Right, sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I see. Thanks, Kenise. No, it's the same thing. He's dropped out of being a presenter. So I've made you a presenter again, Chair. You should be able to unmute yourself now. Thanks, Kenise.
So it's not me, you see.
No, that was me. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Right. Anyway, we've considered the points that have been made, and the members of the committee are agreed that we should grant the application as it is. I have to tell you that there's no right of appeal. This is a pavement licence. The decision in writing, it will be available in 5 working days. So all participants should have